Hey guys, today we'll see how we can create a COC of table. Now COC stands for chain of commands and it is used when we want to extend our application or when we want to extend. So first of all, since we need to create a COC of table, so first of all let me go back to D365 here. So this is my cash group form. So you could simply go to accounts receivable and here you have this particular customer group form. So you come here. Now when you click on this new button, you enter your customer group name. Let's say I want to give a customer name as 21 and let's say this as you know uh, something like new group, something like this. So as soon as when I'm creating a new customer group, I want to initially default the terms of payment as cash. So we are going to perform this change. So let me reiterate, whenever we create a new customer group, let me say 22. So if you try to save, currently the system doesn't default the terms of payment as cash, but as per part of demo of this video will default this to cache. Now to achieve this, the first thing is that we should know is what is the actual table name. So since we are creating a COC of table, so now we should know what would be our table name. So to know the table name, simply right click here and if you go to yeah, so let's right click into this particular tab here. So click here. So here if you see your data source is cash group and your data field is payment term ID. So we'll open a notepad and we'll make a note of all these things. So our data source is cash group. This is our data source and the field name is where we will do actual modification is PAYMTERMID. So we'll simply write so that we don't have any kind of confusion because in Dynamics we have the similar name of the field, so that sometimes create confusion. Now, first of all, we already have the project created. Now we'll go to our table node and I will go to my cash group table. Okay. So here, if you see, you have two options to create COC. Either you right click here or you click on this option, create code extension. That will automatically create a class for you. But instead of this, we'll go with the manual option. So to manually create a class, right click here, click on add button, go to new items, expand this dynamics option, go to code, simply click here. Now the important thing here is you should follow convention. So depending upon in which project you are working, where you are working, you will have the certain naming condition that you should follow. But usually the practice here is use write the name of object. Since we are doing modification in cast group table, so we'll write name of our cast group. Okay. Then what is the type name? The type name is table, right? So we'll here write table. So this signifies in cast group table we are doing some kind of modification. Okay. Now at the end we need to write extension. Simply write here extension and add. So anytime you create a COC for anything, whether it be a class, form, or data source, or even class, you at the end you always need to write extension for sure. And one more thing, there should be a next call definitely should be happening whenever you are creating COC. So we'll see that part as well. So even let me write for you. So to if you're creating COC of a special agent table, the first thing is that your class should have something like this extension. Okay, let me directly write into Visual Studio here. So the first thing is here you could write this internal here, and from here you start writing. Put these braces here. Okay, write this keyword extension of. Okay, now which object extension you are creating? You are creating an extension of table, right? So for that you will write here table. Say write table. You in name of your simply write name of your table. What is your table name? Table name is cust group, right? And you close this. But you will need a string here. Okay, this is the actual table name. So to convert this into string, you simply use a global function called table str. Table str. Yep. And here close your braces. So we have completed here this. You should always write this particular statement whenever you are creating COC, that is extension of write table str, and here simply write name of your table. Okay, and the second thing is that you should definitely write here final, and at the end you should write extension for sure. Okay, and now let's again go back to our requirement. Our requirement is that whenever we are creating a new data, okay, at that time we need to default this value. Now to default any value in table, you always use a method called init value, right? So we are going to use same method. So for that you could write here public void init value. And let me start the process and let me end. But since this is a chain of commands, so the chain of command also say one more rule that you should have a next call for sure. So here you would definitely need to write next init value. This is completed. Okay, so this is a kind of skeleton or boiler code that you need to always write. Let's say if instead of init value you want to use a different method. Let's say you are using a modified field or you are using a validate right field. So at that time you will write it something like this. Public void validate right this and here. Since this would be a boolean instead of, because in validate right you are going to return something, right? So you will use something like this. Okay, now see our boiler piece of code is completed. Now we need to write our main logic. As soon as we are going to create a record, so we need to insert something into our field. What is our field name? Our field name is this guy, PAY, payment term ID. Okay. Now to access the object of this particular class, you could simply write this. As soon as you type this dot, it will list down all the global objects that you can easily access. So here simply now write payment term ID, and here write whatever you want to write. So in my case, I want to default it to cache, right? So I can simply write here cache. That's it. Fairly simple. Sorry here guys. Okay, simply write this. That's it. Save. So again, let me reiterate one more time here. Whenever you are creating COC, you need to write extension of, then which object COC you are creating. You need to write that object here. Then you need to define what is the type of that object. Here you write this. You always need to write final. You always need to write extension. Okay. Then typically you will use a method here, right? So for that method, you definitely need to call the next here. Okay, and now you do your job here. That's it. So let me do a build here. Yeah, so guys, the build is completed here now. Now again, let me go back to front end, and now when I will create my new customer group, so you see here, this is getting defaulted. So if I write here 2 3 something, not 2 3, it's already there. So let me say 29. Say you see this is getting defaulted. So this is how you create a COC of table. Just to reiterate, so you need to, if I comment this code, so you always need to write this code. Okay, you here simply need to change your function name. If in case your function have type, so you need to define that type here. You simply need to just do this change, and else you could use the same code for all type of table extension. So thank you so much for watching the video.